Welcome back. We're here with another episode of Corner to Copa, another Monday evening breaking down the week in Tigers baseball. I'm here with my co-host, Coach. What's going on, man?
Oh, I think I maybe have seen better ball in person over the weekend than what we saw on the TV out in LA.
Yeah, it was pretty shaky over the weekend. We actually lost three or four to the Angels, and they actually had a 6 game winning streak going before we eked out a win just barely on Sunday. You know how we do on Sunday. That was our one outburst of offense for the weekend. We were actually up 7-0, and then Shelby Miller got shelled, and we nearly blew the game. And that's coming off the game before, who Reese Olson had went five innings, 2 earned runs, and then Foley ended up uh, uh, blowing the save in the ninth inning. So you know things are starting to fall apart. The one game that Olson actually gets some run support, the bullpen lets them down. And previous to that, we lost 2 or 3 to the Philadelphia Phillies, but we did get the W in a ace in a duel between two aces, Suarez and Scooble. And I was live for that game, so that was exciting and fun to watch. But
Got
um,
yourself a little souvenir too.
yeah, gotta. Was that lad?
It had to have been.
Right. So yeah, I had the ball. I actually got a little display thing for her. But
There you go.
anywho, but yeah, yet another series that we lose. We're not gaining any traction in the division, obviously, because the Indians don't lose, um, and just barely just staying, above ground with the as far as the wild card situation. But yeah, yeah, things are
Yeah, it's going from bad to ugly here, kind of in bits and pieces. Yeah, the
yeah
few things that we had to hold our hat on have kind of pretty much fallen off at that point. At this point now.
right. And yeah, just the most we can do is attempt to not get swept. That's pretty much all we can get out of this, get out of these series so far. We knew it was going to be a tough stretch coming up with the Phillies coming into town, and heading to the West Coast, and we obviously got the Twins coming up um, in the next series. So yeah, just trying to survive and not completely lose all hope, but it's definitely not looking good as far as um, playoff contention and attempting to buy the trade deadline.
Hmm.
But yeah, as far as the good, obviously, Scooble continues to deal. The Tigers do tend to give uh, do to tend to give him some pretty decent run support. As far as the bad, the coaching has continues to come under fire with all these wacky lineups and movement around movement around defensively. And as far as the ugly, Flaherty got chopped up pretty bad this upcoming week. um that would have been versus Philly.
No, he
No,
pitched game
LA.
one in LA.
Yeah, he got
Let's see. I got it. It's coming up here. I'll grab his stat. Yeah, 5 2/3, 7 hits, 5 earned, 7K, 1 walk. So yeah, it looks like mostly what he threw that was in the zone. They were just able to barrel up. I mean, 7-1 strikeout to walk ratio is still pretty good.
yeah, it is.
98 pitches though, 5 2/3. That's kind of been their issue, if you will, at least for most of the guys that get into that area, fifth inning, third time through. You know, heavy on pitches already, so that doesn't help the cause when you give up three in that fifth inning.
Yep, and like I said, over the weekend, we did give Olson some run support. We got 5 runs overall, and we kind of broke the trend there because we still ended up losing late. But um, yeah, we continue the same trend of scoring 1-0 a lot of the week, and then having one outbreak at the end of the weekend. But yeah, the consistent as far as the consistency hitting wise is just not there, and it's always the irky jerky lineup that we just wall out. We had Rogers and Carson Kelly in the starting lineup.
I
Uh,
was gonna say something to you about that too. Yes, on Sunday about that as well. I was like, uh, I'm like, but then again, the same thing. I was gonna be like, well, it looks like trash, but again, this has produced some weird output. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they actually Rogers hit a home run, hit a bomb on Saturday
that
to
was a
straightaway
nuke.
center field. Carson Kelly hit one 400 plus feet on Sunday, and yeah, just when we face left-hander, I'd be quick curious to see how we do against left-handers. But of course, Ibanez just raked because that's just what he does. He can't hit a righty to save his life, but if a lefty is pitching, I don't care if it's the reincarnation of Randy Johnson, he's tearing the cover off that ball. So,
You ain't
um,
wrong there. You are not wrong.
yeah, I made a statement that I want to see Ibanez be a lifelong Tiger. I don't. Maybe I'm just living in the moment, but when it comes to attacking left-handed pitching, he just sees the ball so good. It's quite insane. But we're gonna get to the first break, and then we're gonna get to the rosters and injuries. All right, Coach, take it away.
All right, yeah, a lot of this is kind of rehab stuff and some rumors. So I think that some of us may have seen over the weekend, late Saturday into Sunday, that there were rumors going around that Parker Meadows may or may not be recalled sometime this week or as early as today, as they're an off day traveling from LA to Minnesota. However, nothing since then has developed. Keeping my fingers crossed. Personally, I want to see him back. He's been doing well across the board up down there in Toledo. Just it's not Vierling or Green. Obviously, Vierling got nicked up too, so he was scratched late. I believe it was for Sunday's game after he took that foul ball off the foot. So there's still a concern that he's got trouble moving. X-rays confirmed it's not broken. So obviously something else they're dealing with. So to TBD on that. Casey Mize underwent additional tests on his left leg. No information was available from that. I think that was just yesterday, the day before. Eddie's Leonard reinstated on Toledo's roster as of yesterday. Came off the minor league IL there. Baez he started a rehab assignment with Toledo starting today. He can take as long as he wants down there. I'm fine with that.
Oh, God.
Um, and the 27th, Jace Jung was cleared for baseball activities. And I think he is now back with the, yeah, no, he's got, I think he's taking a rehab game here in the next night or two, if I'm not mistaken. I saw that just within the last couple hours or so. On the 25th, Kerry Carpenter, I believe that was early last week, after he was cleared, did some hitting off of a stationary tee and did some conditioning drills. Nothing really with defensive receiving in the field, that is, with gloves. So just slow and steady with him. On the 24th, they signed or they purchased the relief pitcher Matt Singler from Long Island Ducks. I think they're still pending to assign him to which team. I don't know if it's AAA or AA. Then on the 26th, they also signed free agent shortstop Drew Maggie to a minor league contract. I'm assuming that's got to be tied when they called up Kreidler, just for depth purely, I would imagine. So I would assume either AAA or AA would be his assignment there. In terms of injuries and transactions, that is it for now. But I feel like there could be some a little more flurry of um, ups and downs here over the next potentially 2 weeks or so as we get near the All-Star break.
All right, I'm not gonna lie, guys. He dropped some gems on there. A couple gems of news that I didn't even know about. So I'm learning some stuff out here too. But let's get right into this down on the farm report. As Coach stated, there's been some rumors that Meadows may be called up this week. It's obviously a transaction that we've been waiting to see. We need another shakeup to the lineup, especially with Mark Canna and Gio Urshela. They are really struggling right now. Those are obviously some older guys that they are what they are. They're really not guys that you want to be playing every day, but given what we have going on, that's the situation that we're in. My concern is that they're kind of, killing the little to, the little trade value that they may have by struggling so mightily. But maybe they can get some, or maybe Canna can get some days off in the outfield, and we can kind of shake things up. Hopefully, Vierling. The situation with him, he's been one of our more trusted and consistent hitters. So hopefully we don't have to make any call ups off the strength of that situation. But back to the farm, Matt Manning bounced back after some rough outings. He had 5 innings pitched with no hits and 5 strikeouts. Hyu Lee finally has returned. He was hit in the head by a pitch a couple weeks ago, and they've been kind of holding him out, with precautions. But he's back to normal, and continuing the pace that he's been on. Ty Madden had a good outing over the weekend. He had 6 innings pitches, 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, and 8 strikeouts. So he's having a very rough year, but that was a pretty solid outing. And as far as the hitters in AAA, Riley Unroe is hitting 312 right now. He's been on a tear, and Justice Bigby as well. Now, Justice Bigby is an interesting story. He was drafted in the 19th round a couple years ago, but he had a breakout year last year. He moved up 3 levels all the way from West Michigan to Toledo, and he's been kind of touted as on the same track as Kerry Carpenter. We all know that Kerry Carpenter has been a pretty good run producer for us this year and last. But Kerry Carpenter was also drafted in the 19th round out of Virginia Tech, and ironically, Bigby is from Virginia. But Kerry Carpenter basically just had one big year, and next thing you know, he was pretty much spending the entire year in Detroit last year. So Justice Bigby has got off to a pretty slow start after Toledo at the end of last year, but he's been on a bit of a tear himself, and just a name to look out for. He's another corner outfield, as if we needed any more of those guys, but a guy that really worked his way up the ranks in just this past year, and I think that he did something similar in, hired a hitting coach and altered his swing a little bit, and it paid dividends last year. So just a guy to keep our eyes on, and that pretty much wraps up. Jackson Jobe had a rehab start as well. He went 4 innings pitched with 2 runs, 0 of which that were earned runs, and 3 strikeouts. He hit 100 miles per hour, and he had a slider spin rate that reached up to 3,300 RPM. So only a matter of time before he gets sent up to the AAA, and who knows? By the end of the year, when the Tigers are likely playing for nothing, maybe we get a chance to witness him in Comerica Park or on TV. So we got some good young talent that we can look forward to seeing real soon. He obviously was hurt for a lot of the beginning of the year, so encouraging to see him catching his stride and getting back to where we saw him in spring training, because that was the big buzz out of spring training was Jackson Jobe. So But yeah, Coach, I know you wanted to touch base on some of the demotions or one. Well, no, there's a couple of demotions, but I'm going to allow you to elaborate on that, and I'm going to agree or disagree because I don't know about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, and just to tie off that Joe point, I think he would probably be. I mean, granted, his he finishes his rehab down there, and he gets back with Toledo. I feel like he would be the prime candidate over Manning, even to be called up if I shouldn't say if, when Flaherty gets traded. We've seen Manning 5 or 6 times already early this year. Um, Started off good, and it kind of got progressively worse with each start. And I think we pretty much know what he's about. So whatever trade value he's got, I think it would be probably beneficial if they hold him down unless they have a spot start for him. But regarding your points here, we've been in that youth movement. I mean, let's be real. What we thought maybe 18 months ago, the farm system of prospects, we were kind of voted as a bit of a healthy farm system. Hell, we've got almost every guy up here now, and
Yeah.
at some point or another, since the second half of last year to now, I feel like pitching, bullpen, positional players, you name it, we've pretty much almost have called them up, and some we've called up and had let go or traded since then. Guys like Buddy Kennedy, who we thought might be around, gone as a result of the casualty for the Torkelson demotion. But I'm ready to move on from some of these guys and bring up some of these. I mean, at this point, if they're going to lose, let's just tank and let's get these guys some quality experience here. Jake Rogers and Carson Kelly are kind of the same player, same catcher in my opinion. Jake might be a little bit better defensively, but I think it's probably splitting hairs. I'd like to see Dingler up, Jake either trade or cut. Um, McKinstry, I mean, that might only be because of the positional depth that they lack, not just at the parent club, but how we just read out they signed a free agent shortstop for the minor league contract, most likely to just help out at Toledo. So he might be the one that sticks around. And then Kryler goes back down. He's been awful. Um, there's only so many bad bats you can just keep in the lineup to keep on your 25-man roster, and they got guys that are hitting. Um, pipe dream like Max Clark, a Dingler. Parker's got to come up. I don't know if we'll actually see Max Clark. Maybe September call up at best, if that. But I think you had a guy down there that's been hitting as well. That I think hey, whichever one, man, anything for a spark right now, or when the time comes for it, because I'm just tired of seeing this offense sputter for 3 games out of 4, and then they blow up and erupt for 10, 11 runs, and they win, and then they're back to looking like a freshman high school team that just forgot everything about hitting. But it goes beyond that too. Not to digress too much from the main point. I mean, you mentioned the coaching staff too. There's no urgency for these guys. They can't field, they can't hit. Their pitching's deteriorating. Like, where's the urgency? All we hear is be patient from the ownership and front office. We've been waiting for 8 years. 8 years this team has been in the playoffs, and you look right now in the season. Look at Houston, their comeback over the last 30, 35 days. Look at the Mets since they signed Jose, our former Tiger, Iglesias, and
Yeah,
they're right back in the hunt. And
I
he
did. I
dropped it.
didn't.
He went viral. He dropped a single and actually a professionally produced song recorded on a label, and he sang it after one of their wins the other night, went viral. They're 16-4 with him since they signed him. Like, how can we not catch any of this luck? But yet we've got totally stagnant ownership, cheap ownership. I'm not going to window dress anymore. And a lot of fans on social media and on the radio calling in 97.1 local radio here over the last 2-3 weeks, it's getting louder. The noise from the fans, the diehards, is getting louder because the casual fan, they're gone. They don't care. They've checked out. Not to mention the compounding problem of not being able to watch games if you're not paying for the app, which is a totally other ballpark of discussion. But yeah, I think a little bit of injection of young blood now with some of these guys, like you mentioned, have been struggling. Like, look, we're not going to get much from most of these guys, like Mark Hanna or Gio potentially, or Andy. Andy probably has some good trade value. I mean, a lot of these guys are veterans, aren't going to be judged on what they're doing just this year or the last 60 days. They're professionals for a reason. They're still around for a reason. I imagine they're going to get some interest come, if we get close to the trade deadline. But yeah, go ahead and give me your 2 cents on that. But yeah, I mean, we can only suck so bad before enough's enough. But yeah.
Well, no, I mean, you did you mention Wenzel Perez? That was kind of my
Oh yeah, but yeah,
yeah.
I'll go deep, not deep, but I'll give a breakdown on him. I was looking at him after I did a little breakdown on Colt Keith nearing the end of June, and I saw some kind of concerning. Yeah, he's hitting decently average wise, but it's almost all singles. He's got 26. He had 26 hits in June, 6 doubles. That's it as far as his extra base hit power for the month. So 20 singles out of 26 hits. He's not homered since April 30th when his slugging was at 600. Granted, I know he was only up with the team for about 3 weeks or most of April. But since 4:30, April 30th, he's down to slugging 396. He's dropped over 200 points slugging. No triple since May. We all know about his defensive liability because he was basically demoted as a second baseman. He couldn't make the throw to first base. So we can't really rely on him to be making crazy amount of putouts in the outfield or assists. That's why, I mean, Parker's got to come up, and I think between him or Baду, I mean, in my opinion, I don't really care who goes down, but I think Badu's a little bit better defensively, and Perez is just maybe seeing eye singling a little bit more than he is. But to me, I guess kind of splitting hairs. Go ahead and take it away on that.
I mean, um, I think he I think defensively, as far as outs above average and range, I think that he actually grades out pretty good. But as far as I agree, his arm strength is not great. He doesn't have a lot of arm value. But hitting wise, he has gone on a little bit of a skid. But overall, he's a pretty good run producer. I mean, he's averaging, he's averaging 281 with runners on and 300 with runners in scoring position. The opportune hits are at a minimum. So I mean that type of production, albeit zero power, like you said. After he hit the home run, I want to say it was after the home run that he hit from the right hand side, and then in the doubleheader hit one from the left handed side. Since then, I
Yep.
don't think he's hit a single home run. But and I honestly don't know whether or not the power is something that will develop down the line. I mean, he's pretty young. He's only 25 years old, but I think that he's done enough to hold on. I think he's been serviceable enough to hold on to his spot. I mean, Badu maybe gives you more defensively, maybe a little bit, but he's got a horrible arm himself. So, um, you know, Badu hits for a little bit more power, but he's making way less contact, and I highly doubt his average is above
True.
200. I think his only
No,
saving
I think
grace.
it's like 180 or something, but he's more patient. We know that. We've
I was
talked
going to
about it
say,
on
yeah, I
air.
was going to say his one saving grace is the fact that he's not going to chase bad pitches. He's going to get on. But once again, what's the difference when one guy's a singles guy and one
Yeah.
guy has to depend on not lifting his bat and the other team throwing around him for
Well,
whatever?
let me throw this at you here. Just June and May alone, not counting
Mhm.
April because it was abbreviated for Perez.
Right.
Just May and June alone, he has a 40-4 strikeout to walk ratio. He has struck out 40 times in 60 calendar days, roughly, give or take, and he has 4 walks in that span.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, he's a free swinger. He's not
yeah.
gonna, but I was looking at his analytics. His K rate is actually not that bad from what I saw. Um, but anyways, yeah, I think he's done enough to keep himself say, okay, his K rate is 50. He's in the 50 percentile.
I mean,
So
yeah, if he's getting on and he's scoring decently, then yeah, I think that's, of course the other guys got hit behind him, but that's still the other part of the problem in terms of driving in the runs once you get on base for this team. Lord knows we've seen a situation where we've had the bases loaded and Mark Hannon's up there taking a walk and getting an RBI walk
right,
versus just
right,
putting
yeah,
the ball in the outfield somewhere, anywhere, and maybe praying somehow we get 2 runs, but yeah.
Our biggest issue, I think, is the fact that we have all these guys that have such a disparity between right and left-handed hitting, like right and left-handed pitching. Like, so you got guys that excel well, but in one particular category, so there's no consistency there. Like
They're
Abanez,
predictable. I think it becomes predictable at that point. Yeah.
I
Like
mean,
this is what they're gonna do. We can map it out. So
yeah. I mean, I think I mean, outside of the fact that the lineup changes a lot, I think they can pretty much tell who's going to be in the lineup depending on who's pitching. I mean, Bias is gonna be hitting if it's a left-handed pitcher. You know, Perez is probably not going to be in there if it's a left-handed pitcher because he's a switch hitter, but he's much stronger from the left-handed side. I mean, you can pretty much there's just certain things that you can see coming no matter what, depending on who's pitching. So,
and
um,
like too at that same point, if they're not starting him against left-handed pitching when he can hit from the right side, if they start doing that consistently going forward, with any trend that you may have seen in the last few weeks or so, then at what point does he stop becoming a switch hitter? You know what I mean?
that's
So
very true. That's
a
very
month and a
true.
half ago, we were like, "Oh, this is great, switch hitter, both sides." Come to find out, can't hit from one side against one arm. So really, he's just one-sided right now.
Pretty
If
much.
he's gonna not get the opportunity,
Yeah. It's kind of a skill that's kind of pointless when you look at it. Um, I was looking. Anyway, yeah, I think he's only got about 50 at bats from the right hand side, from what I saw, to where his average is actually higher on the right hand side, but super small sample size in
yeah.
comparison. So, um, but let's get to a small break, and then we're going to discuss what we have coming up. All right, we got a road trip coming up, but let us know what is on tap.
All right, we're coming down the home stretch here. Only about 2 weeks, two full calendar weeks here before the All-Star break. Doesn't get any easier here. We're gonna close here with some divisional opponents coming up, and we come out the second half is, guys, gonna be honest, it looks brutal. This could go from ugly to White Sox A's bad here over the next 35 40 days here. I wish I had a better projected outlook on this, but yep, as you mentioned, they have an off day today, traveling from the West Coast back to the Midwest to Minnesota for 3. They turn around for another quick 3 in Cincinnati before heading home the following Monday on the 8th to host 4 against the Guardians, and then 3 against the LA Dodgers. So again, Reds are right around where Detroit, actually maybe a little bit better than Detroit record-wise, but we all know Ellie De La Cruz, probably between the two teams, might be the most talented non-pitcher. I think obviously we own that category in terms of the best pitcher, and in that rate, Scuba would be projected to pitch in that matinee game. Tuesday right now, the outlook as will be Scooble on Tuesday. Wednesday will be Flaherty, Maeda on the day game matinee. And then they turn around Friday will be Olson, Mize, and then Scooble to wrap it up. But briefly, I did want to touch on that second half schedule. I mean, we come out the gate again. It's heavy. This is not going to be. I'm not going to say the amount of games and whatnot, but these are just the teams that we play starting mid-July. I'm just going to go through end of August here real quick, and you tell me where there's a bad team in that stretch, and we'll see here. All right, real quick, run it down here. Coming out of it, they're in Toronto, in Cleveland versus Minnesota versus Cleveland, Kansas City, Seattle, San Fran, Seattle, Yankees, Cubs, White Sox, Angels. I hate to say they're not a bad team on paper, they are, but we just got our butts embarrassed in LA by them. And then they kind of split with Boston at the end of August. I mean, yeah,
Toronto is
on paper
Toronto good?
though, Vladdy, I guess depending on who they trade, potentially, yeah. but we're going to be in the same boat as they are. We're both sellers. They've already got rid of Biggio, their legacy player.
You said
You know,
Sox at some point
Cubs
down
aren't
low.
great. Sox aren't that great. Then again, we damn near almost didn't even take that series last time. We had to eke it out with an eighth inning home run
Yeah.
to win the 2-1 game. Cubs have been struggling as of late. That might be the only team.
Is San Fran
Honestly,
good? I don't even know.
they're in the hunt. They're all these teams are within. They're leading their division. They're holding a wild card spot, other than Toronto, who's actually, I think they're ahead of us anyways in the wild card. Uh, yeah, they're ahead of us by a half game in the wild card.
Oh,
Um, yeah, the only team that's kind of really struggling is the Cubbies. They are down there. They're kind of in the same boat as we are. They're actually a half game better than we are. One game actually. They're one win better than we are.
jeez.
So yeah, this could get ugly fast here if they can't get some traction coming out of the All Star break, or even some momentum coming into the All Star break. Because there'll be some decisions made here by the front office on who goes and to where and for how much back in on return. But yeah, this is I don't know. This could be the real dog days of summer here coming up, but yeah. And then obviously the big thing too is by the time the end of the winter meetings at the end of this calendar year, me personally, I know we talked about it last episode. To reiterate briefly, if they're not going to spend the money in the off season, deal Scooble now by the winter meetings, because you're gonna get a haul for him. And if they don't, and they fail to build around him, it'll all be for now. Obviously, that's foreshadowing and hindsight at the same time. But in my opinion, here they don't look like they're gonna. They're not saying anything that says, you know what, we're gonna try and make a little run for at least maybe a wild card come the winter off season. There's been nothing like that. All it's been has been be patient. We're building. The guys that are coming up to the parent club. These young guys right now, they're being failed by this coaching staff and their positional coaches, and I don't understand that there's no urgency. There's no one. Job security seems to be okay, which is wild, absolutely wild. And if that's the way that the front office is going to handle it, and they're really going to just say it doesn't really matter, then it's hard for us to have much faith other than watching the guys that we down in the minors. That's really all we have to look at right now, because the product in the field in Detroit sucks.
Yeah, yeah. And oh no, you already touched on that. All right, so that we wrapped that up in a bow in a decent amount of time.
Yeah, brown paper bag with a flame on it. That's what we wrap it up in.
Yeah, yeah. I wish there was more interesting things to touch on. Maybe we were more so in a race, or we did something besides lose two or three and three or four in series. But we will just continue to monitor things. Obviously, we're getting closer and closer to the All Star break, closer and closer to the trade deadline, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Yeah. Any other parting words before we? Oh, please check out the player profiles. There's about three. I will. The Cole Keith. Yeah. There should be four out there now. Cole Keith and the Gio Urshela player profiles are out now. I'm actually working on a Wenzel Perez one right as we speak. But yeah, subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers for all visual. For all visuals, we'll be keeping track of any roster updates, and of course, subscribe to Corner to Copa on all streaming platforms. We're bringing you shows every week and keeping you up on anything going on. And who knows, we might be announcing a Parker Meadows or a Dylan Dingler or a promotion. So keep stay on the lookout for that. And were you gonna say something, Coach?
Yeah, no. If in the comments for those of you on YouTube, if there's a player that if we were to deal Scooble here, if there was a person I would like to have a MLB ready now bat versus using one of those picks coming back, that would inevitably be a part of the package. on a bat, because Lord knows they've whiffed on positional players for years, withholding, some of the guys they've got right now who may have some really good promise, TBD. Gonna not put that in consideration with the rest of them. But let us know if there's a player that you guys have been following somewhere else that you would like. That I think that would be a good fit. I'm generally thinking, an MLB, someone who's an MLB lineup now, who's hitting, young as well. A couple first, second round picks. I would think three, if not two first and a second, somewhere there, and then a potential, top 5 pitching prospect in that organization back. That's kind of generally what I think the asking price. It could be even higher, which I think it should be, rightfully so. If they're taking overtures, as Scott Harris was calling it the other weekend. But yeah, let's drop a name in there. If there's a guy that's on the cusp of thinking of being a breakout guy that that would be worth kind of doing like a trade simulator, if you will, and we'll take a look. But yeah, other than that, happy 4th of July on Thursday for everyone. Be safe, have fun, America, all that. And yeah.
All right, and we're gonna wrap it up. See you guys next week.